Hello and welcome to another Dragonstorm Studios video. In today's video, we're going to be working on part 3 of a series called Building Creativity. And I'm going to start today with a pen. You can certainly use pencil as well, but the pen will help us see where I started from. And I'm just going to draw a squiggle. And the more complex the squiggle, the more challenging but also interesting the end result will be. I've got to use this squiggle now somehow in my picture. And very often when you look at things like clouds or snowbanks or literally anything, bathroom tiles, you can see shapes within them. And we consciously do that all the time. And sometimes when we do that, we're able to get ideas for our drawings. But in this case, what I'm going to try and do is use that squiggle to make something new out of that. And if you are a fan of Dungeons and Dragons at all, then you might know what a beholder is. And I see a beholder in this. A beholder is a very iconic and gruesome looking creature in the game. It's basically a giant floating ball with eye stalks and one central big eye. So that squiggle kind of reminded me at first actually of a mouth, but secondly of an eye from the side view. And so you can kind of already see this eye sort of taking shape here. And oh, this is going to be terrifying, but I love it. I love it already. And we'll do a couple other ones actually, and we can kind of sort of see what they look like over the course of maybe a couple other videos. So here's the curve. I might actually just kind of adjust it a little bit. And that's just it. You can take that shape that you end up starting with and just modify it if you need to your purposes. And we'll have the eye stalks over here as well, and they are going to look just terrifying. I remember as a kid just being so caught up in the idea of a beholder. They such a neat, interesting, and literally terrifying sort of design. And the best part is, even though I kind of grew up with this particular beholder as my inspiration, there was a book called Adventures in Waterdeep, and there was a beholder there named Xanatos. He was basically the kingpin of the Waterdeep Underground, and they did a really cool thing in the art on the cover of that book with that beholder, and just to make the eye stalks a little more interesting looking, a bit different. I'm gonna have to look up and see how many eyes they actually have on top here, because I actually don't know off the top of my head. But this is already I'm liking how that's looking. He's terrifying. I think he's actually has a mouth here as well. So I may have to kind of modify the image. Maybe this can be his mouth here. He have a bit of a smirk on his face, like he knows he's all that in the bag of Doritos. And cool. So I'm gonna spend a few minutes kind of working on that. I'm gonna some shading, other details and textures to it, and we'll see how that turns out in just a moment. All right, so I ended up tilting it a little bit just to keep the eye looking up slightly in the picture, and I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. And hopefully you can still kind of just make out that blue line in ink where this whole drawing began. And then the end result, it's I think probably the most iconic creation in Dungeons and Dragons, and hopefully it's recognizable to those of you who do enjoy the game. But that's how you can just simply use a squiggle to capture your imagination, to begin working on those art skills as well. It's also a great way of warming up before doing some art. That way you kind of get a bit of a push in the right direction if you're having trouble getting started. It's a self-starting tool. Also, you might want to get someone else to draw the squiggle for you. I find that sometimes subconsciously we kind of create our own squiggles. If we're thinking of snakes, it might be more sinuous perhaps. So getting someone else to draw a squiggle for you is a really neat way of eliminating any of those potential subconscious decision-making skills, although that certainly isn't a bad thing. So I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please feel free to give it a like, maybe share it with some like-minded folks. And if you think that the video content deserves your attention, please give me a subscription as well. I'd love to have more people watching these videos, and some feedback as well would be wonderful if you feel the need for a comment perhaps. Have a fantastic day. We'll see you next time.